Well, guys, I knew we were saying there wasn't going to be boots on the ground in Gaza, US troops on the ground. Um, but when it comes to them building this temporary port, this is going to put boots on the ground. Are they saying no boots directly on the beach of Gaza? I guess not, because it's a floating pier that's right, like really close to the to the beach of Gaza. So I really don't know the double speak that they're trying to play here, but don't get it twisted. We are having 1,000 U.S. troops at Gaza building this port and getting it to operational speed. And if we do that, we're right there. I mean, there could easily be rockets fired in the direction of our U.S. troops. I just don't understand how you can say no boots are going to be on the ground when it's going to take 1,000 U.S. troops to build this pier. Okay, you're playing semantics at this time. You're playing semantics, and you're putting U.S. troops in harm's way to the point to where if one U.S. troop member dies in this building of the pier, guys, that we are going to be completely involved in this war, and I do not want. It's going to be the start of World War III. I mean, we have the possibility of World War III starting on three different fronts. So this is just very concerning. Do I still think we need to get aid there? Of course, but this is just concerning. This is not the way to do it, in my opinion. There's other ways to do it. But we're going to get into it, guys. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. Happy Monday. I hope your day's starting off on a good note. We're going to hopefully keep it going in that right direction, but make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to that channel if you haven't already, guys. I really appreciate you. But let's hop in to this article here we got with CNN. All right. And according to CNN, U.S. could take 2 months and 1,000 troops to construct floating pier to deliver aid to Gaza, Pentagon says. And this is from CNN, guys. Okay. Like I said, I'm non-biased. A floating pier and causeway that will be used to deliver critical humanitarian aid by sea to Gaza is expected to take at least 1 month or possibly as long as 2 for the U.S. military to build and become fully operational, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Patrick Ryder said on Friday. Ryder also said the construction of the pier and causeway will likely require as many as 1,000 U.S. military personnel to complete. The extended timeline reflects the complicated nature of the project, which is the second such extraordinary measure the Biden administration has announced in just under a week to try to alleviate the desperate humanitarian situation facing Palestinians in Gaza caused by Israel's refusal to open additional land crossings or surge more aid by land into the enclave as it continues to fight Hamas. The initiative will aim to augment a maritime corridor that the U.S., the European Commission, the United Arab Emirates, Cyprus, and the U.K. have been working to open delivery assistance directly. Frustration in the administration is growing at the Israeli government, seeing refusal to recognize the urgency of the humanitarian crisis. Despite increasing pressure from the U.S. military pier is among a flurry of measures announced by the international community to alleviate the crisis in Gaza, where more than 2 million people are in need of food and the medical system has all but collapsed. The plan for the U.S. military to set up a floating dock announced by President Joe Biden in his State of the Union address on Thursday night was rolled out just days after the U.S. began airdropping meals into Gaza to try to help the population the United Nations warns is on the brink of famine. Now, guys, I completely agree on helping the Palestinian people. Okay? Completely agree on that. But us making this pier is just making it to where we have to have U.S. troops right around the coast of Gaza. We don't need that. We just don't need it, guys. It's really concerning. It's really concerning at the end of the day. What we need to be doing to really help the Palestinian people is we need to force Israel's hand. Okay? Like I said, I'm all for Israel going after Hamas, but you do it on your own dime. If you are not going to allow humanitarian aid through, like just regular, you control 2 of the 3 gateways into Gaza. Israel does. They need to allow humanitarian aid through. If they don't, the United States pulls all funding until that happens. We have the power. Why is Joe Biden and this administration acting like the United States is not the boss on the block that provides assistance, military and financial assistance to every freaking country we want. If a country is not doing what they need to do on the humanitarian front, we cut the funding. Come on, guys. Like, this should not be debatable. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Like, you don't build a temporary pier that's going to cost us millions of dollars in taxpayer money, isn't even going to be functional for another 2 months. Okay? Not even functional for 2 months. And you're putting US troops in harm's way? It makes absolutely no sense. No sense, guys. Force Israel's hand. Israel is our ally, yes, but we are the ones that financially back their military and everything. If they think that they need to not let in humanitarian aid, then you do this entire war, this entire military occupation that you're doing right now. You do this on your own dime then. Let's see how big and bad you are on not letting in humanitarian aid when that happens. You know what I mean? So it's just, there's different ways to handle this. I'm all for the aid getting in for the Palestinians. Absolutely. 100%. But we need to not be building a pier on the outside of the coast, putting U.S. troops in harm's way. Instead, force Israel to open up the stupid border when it comes to allowing humanitarian aid through. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Okay, Israel's not going to attack the United States. We have to stand strong for humanitarian assistance to come through like it's supposed to come through. We're not asking for them to allow weapons through. Okay, this is humanitarian. Diapers, baby formula, flour, like essentials, guys. This is for the citizens. You can check all of the stuff. You can go through, make sure and check it, make sure there's no weapons and everything. That's completely fine. But open up the border to allow the aid to go through. You're not that big and bad when you don't have United States taxpayer money funding absolutely everything that you're doing. You know what I mean, guys? So that's really where people need to understand independence. Like, I'm for Israel protecting themselves. I'm for Israel going after Hamas, who's a legit terror organization that's holding back the Palestinian people. But in the same note, we need to hold Israel accountable as well on allowing that humanitarian aid, not military aid, humanitarian aid to get through. And we should all be able to come to an agreement on that, in my opinion. But let's get back to this article here. Now, airdrops are drop in the ocean, but the thousands of meals being dropped at a time by the United States Air Force are not even close to what is needed to feed the over 2 million Palestinians who remain in the Strip. Although the ongoing airdrops have provided some relief, they are, in the words of UN humanitarian official Sigrid Kaag, a drop in the ocean. The maritime corridor will be used by multiple nations, but the floating pier off the coast of Gaza will be run by the U.S. government and will be constructed by the U.S. military, including Navy and Army personnel. The pier will allow ships to offload aid, which will then be transported across a causeway into Gaza that will be constructed by the U.S. military. The construction will make use of the military's joint logistics over the shore capability, which involves the offloading of cargo from ships in areas without a fixed port facility. The U.S. last deployed this capability in an exercise last year called Talisman Sabre, according to Ryder. U.S. military personnel will not transport the aid off of the causeway into Gaza, Ryder said on Friday, and the causeway will be anchored onto the shore by regional partners on the ground in Gaza. The capability, once operational, could provide as many as 2 million meals per day for the people of Gaza, Ryder said. We're in the process of identifying, sourcing, and in some cases pairing forces to deploy, Ryder said, but I can confirm that elements of the 7th Transportation Brigade Expeditionary Joint Base Langley, Eustis in Virginia have been tasked to support. The temporary pier concept was developed in part by an organization called Fogbo, according to a person familiar with the planning, which is an advisory group comprised of former military, UN, and USAID and CIA personnel. The operation is being referred to internally as the Blue Beach Plan, the person familiar with the planning said. Fogbo is run by former senior American military and intelligence officials. A Qatari official told CNN that they are investing $60 million into the Maritime Corridor Initiative that Fogbo is expected to take an operational lead on, including by transporting the aid from the pier to the beach and handing it over for distribution. So, I mean, guys, again, this is just not the way to go about it. This pier is just, it's costing not just the United States taxpayers, but other countries millions of dollars to construct. When we just need to be holding Israel's feet to the fire and opening up the borders that the entryways that they have, and allow the aid to come through. It just does not make sense how we're not doing that first and foremost. We cut the funding for Israel if they don't. They're going to bend the knee so quick, it's not even funny. Like, and if they don't, then fine. Do this entire thing, destroy the Israel economy because you're not taking in billions of dollars of United States funds to fund everything. You're going to put your entire country in jeopardy financially. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They might hold out for a couple weeks. They're not going to do it though. Guaranteed, guys. So it just really rubs me the wrong way that, okay, well, if Israel's not going to just allow the aid in with us asking nicely, we're just going to create a port of entry off the coast. Like, guys, it does not make any logical sense. Please tell me how this makes more logical sense than holding Israel's feet to the fire and making them open the corridor since we're funding all of this shit. Like, please, let's just make it happen. But at the end of the day, that's not what the Biden administration wants to do right now. But let's go watch this little video here. We got a little 2-minute, 40-second clip of just what's going on when it comes to the aid in Gaza based on what reporters are seeing. And again, guys, we need to do what's right for the citizens of Gaza. But Israel does have the right to go after Hamas the way they attacked them on October 7th. They need to try to eliminate Hamas. But you can't be having the deaths of regular citizens the way they have it and still say you're defending yourself. You really can't. So that's really what it comes down to. Do I think Israel is trying to do a genocide of the people of Gaza? No, because if they were doing that, guys, and they have 2.2 million people in a very tight area of the Gaza Strip, and we have a little over 30,000 people in total that are citizens that have died. I don't even know if that's total just citizens or if that's including military or not. So even if it's just citizens, 30,000 out of the 2.2 million that are in a closely knit area with the amount of bombings that they've done. And I mean, they've also let them know when they're going to do the bombings and different things like that. So for there to only be 30,000 and you're trying to say it's a genocide, if it was really a genocide, there would have been already 100,000 plus more dead in the Gaza Strip. Okay, 30,000 is not enough for you to say that it's a genocide, in my personal opinion. But definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, but let's watch this video clip and see what we got here.
Urban warfare in the Gaza Strip. The Israel Defense Forces released videos said to show troops fighting door to door in the city of Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip. VOA cannot independently verify the dates or locations of the video. Its release follows a weekend where dozens of Palestinians died in Israeli airstrikes and artillery fire, according to local health officials. The situation in Gaza is dire, say health and aid workers who've been there.
They will tell you that the situation has deteriorated for a couple of reasons. And we're at the point that we are because there is a bottleneck. There used to be 3 entrances into the Gaza Strip. Israel controlled 2 of them and Egypt controls 1 of them. Now, only 1 out of the 3 is partially functioning.
To get around those blockades, regional partners began dropping aid packages from the sky. Over the weekend and on the eve of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, the Jordanian Air Force over Gaza dropped pallets filled with flour, rice, baby formula, and water. And the United States Air Force dropped more than 88 bundles of aid said to contain nearly 53,000 meals and 23,000 bottles of water. Now, another plan to deliver aid to Gaza is set to begin. The United States Army deployed a vessel from Virginia to the Mediterranean carrying equipment to build a temporary pier. While it will likely be weeks, with some estimates as high as 60 days before the pier becomes operational, the plan is to have a floating base of operations to deliver aid to Palestinian territories. The United Nations says a quarter of Gaza's population faces starvation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says the conflict so far killed nearly 31,000 Palestinians, a number that does not sit well with U.S. President Joe Biden.
You cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead as a consequence of going after. There's other ways to deal with the trauma caused by Hamas.
Biden stopped short of committing to a red line that Israel could cross that would stop U.S. support for its ally, which declared war on Hamas after its October 7 attack on Israel that killed 1,200. But as Ramadan begins, for more than 72,000 injured Palestinians, any relief by land, sea, or air can't come soon enough. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
I mean, guys, it is really just insane when you think about it, right? I mean, anytime you have people like regular citizens that die in a conflict, it's a sad thing, okay? But we need to be careful on what we're saying. This is not a genocide. Again, if this was a genocide, there's 2.2 million people living in Gaza. You'd have well over 100,000 people dead right now if they're really trying to genocide out everybody. Like, please, we are overusing terms way too much, okay? Is the actual definition of a genocide that? Maybe, I guess, in the very slim meaning of what genocide is, but genocide is the wiping out of a particular people. They are not wiping out a particular people. They are trying to go after Hamas that has embedded themselves within the population of Gaza. And out of 2.2 million, a little over 30,000 have died since the conflict started. Okay, it's a lot of people. Yes, I'm not saying it's not a lot of people, but it is not a genocide. It's not a genocide. This is just it's a war that's going to be ugly because of how they embed themselves within the population of Gaza. We just need to realize that. Like, stop getting so emotional when it comes to this stuff. I pray for the people of Gaza, the regular citizens that don't want any of this. I pray for them. But we need to hold the emotions in check a little bit and realize Israel is not genociding these people. They are just trying to get rid of Hamas, who did a surprise terrorist attack on them on October 7th and have already said they're going to continue to do so. And let's not forget, they are still trying to shoot rockets into Israel. To this day, they are still trying to shoot rockets into Israel. Luckily, they have the Iron Dome. But still, we aren't hearing about that in the news. We're not hearing, we're just saying, oh, Israel's just still attacking them. They're still attacking them. They're still attacking them. Well, you realize Hamas is attacking them too? Like, come on, guys. Like, let's be real about it. All right. But I hope you guys like the content today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Again, I hope you guys have a great start to your week. And again, every day that we got is another day to make it better. All right. So keep your head up. Keep moving forward. Stay blessed out there, guys. And I'll see you on my next video.